Justin Timberlake is completely crashing out. He was arrested this week on a DWI charge, and it's not looking very good. For those of you who don't know, he's actually in the middle of his Forget Tomorrow tour, which I think he's taking a little too seriously. I mean, the jokes make themselves. He was stopped at 12:15 on the highway and failed multiple sobriety tests, and apparently told the officer, quote, "I only had one martini." Of course, that's not an explanation that's going to fly under these circumstances, and apparently he even refused to do chemical tests, so he's going to have to appear in front of a judge on July 26th. I was actually pretty shocked to hear this news, especially because my older brother went to go see one of his shows on this tour, and apparently Justin seems to be pretty upset about this because he says, quote, "This is going to ruin the world tour." Like, yeah? I think the most baffling thing about this entire situation is why didn't he just call an Uber? I understand that the average Uber costs about your entire rent these days, but something tells me that he's going to be just fine spending that money. Well, there's been people talking on Twitter, and the memes coming out of this thing, I can't lie, are pretty good. Here's one of my favorites. And coming out of this whole situation, a lot of people shared their thoughts online, even with a video from May going around where he doesn't look like he's in the best condition. Now, there's a debate going back and forth on this whole thing in a couple different video angles, so it's hard to tell if he really looked that way. So I'm just going to give the benefit of the doubt and say that he's wearing a suit mid-concert, so it's got to be hot. But I think the problem with this kind of internet drama is once you do something like this, it's pretty easy to start connecting dots for other people. If you want to stay out of assumptions like this, it's better to just not get yourself into this kind of situation to begin with. Here's a picture of him supposedly walking out of jail the next morning, and it's pretty safe to say that the tour is going to continue. They haven't put out any sort of canceled announcement, so I'm just going to assume that things are going to proceed. Luckily, nobody got hurt in this whole thing, but it's pretty terrible for him to do this in the first place. It's one of those selfish petty crimes that could have definitely been avoided. I'm curious to see how this whole situation develops from here and what happens on that court date. I would like to hope and assume that he's not going to get off easy from this whole thing, but he is a rich person, so we'll see what happens. I feel like out of anybody that could avoid a situation like this, it's definitely got to be somebody in his position. So overall, it's just very disappointing to see. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Most of the people that get recommended my content actually aren't subscribed, and we are so close to hitting 500, so if you enjoyed this video and want to hear more, hit that button. And that's all. Peace out.